All right, and we are live. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the Deadhead Podcast, episode 9. Today, we want to welcome a very special guest. We have Branden Marotta of Marotta Media, content creator of that channel, and we're happy to have him here. The co-host, Jan, couldn't make it today. He's got some stuff going on his end, but he'll be back next week for episode 10 of the Deadhead Podcast. And episode 10, it's a big number for us because we just started our podcast. We've been going strong for 10 episodes, and we're hoping that this one will be just as strong as the others. So with that being said, how's it going, Branden? And it's good to see you. And I haven't really talked to you, I guess you could say face-to-face, even though we're not face-to-face. I haven't really talked to you like this. So how's it going, brother? How's it going today?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, just been looking forward to doing this. I've never done a podcast before, so that should be pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm happy to have you on, man. What I've set out to do. So I've had my channel, just to give you a backstory here, because I know you don't know a whole lot about us. I started this channel in 2016. I created it as a gaming news. I've talked about I did gameplay walkthroughs, things of that nature. And what I decided to do was I took a break because I was getting burnt out from doing that. So what I did was I just kind of just got off of YouTube, just stopped. And so up until about, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago, I knew that I wanted to do something with the channel. And instead of just starting over, I just figured, you know what, I'm going to carry this thing. And it used to be just called D-Bro the Hero, which is what my gamer tag and what I go by on a lot of my socials. And I said, you know what, screw that. I'm going to create the Deadhead 96 channel. And with that, I want to do the Deadhead podcast as well. And just to talk about anything. Yeah, a lot of people, I've had people mistaken this podcast for a Walking Dead podcast. I've had it for just a gaming podcast. And it's like, no, that's not it. We talk about literally everything on here. Me and Jan, we play a lot of games. So we do start the show off talking about games. But most time we go off on other things. And before you know it, we're talking about just plain old life. So that's kind of how we do things around here, man. And so I'm glad to have you on, and I'm happy that you're happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah. No, it's good. And Jan wanted to be here. Just let everybody else know. Like I said, Jan had some stuff going on. He would have loved to have been here for this. He's really excited about the podcast. It's funny story. I met him when he was a freshman in high school. I was a senior, and we shared a class together. And I remember, man, this guy's like super cool, super easy to talk to. And then he went back to where he is from, which he's in Croatia, and here we are in the U.S. So, I mean, obviously, I haven't talked to him in years. But when I started this podcast, I was trying to think of cool people that I could have on the show to talk about gaming and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I went around, and I was having a hard time getting something because, it's just hard, man. We're adults, and we got things going on. So it's really hard to get someone on the cast. Well, something told me, I don't know if it was, I don't know if you're a religious guy at all. I don't know if it's God. I don't know what it is, but someone told me to reach out to Jan, and we've been running this thing ever since, and we've had some really good shows, man. So I know he would have liked to have been here.
Yeah, it's funny when you first reached out to me and said your co-host lives in Croatia. I was like, you said you're in Virginia. How do you know someone in Croatia? That's really interesting.
Well, see, what I found out was I want to say it was episode 5 or 6. I can't remember. If I can find it, maybe I'll link it to you. We talk about what was all happening back then, because I thought that he was a foreign exchange student. I come to find out that his parents had gotten a temporary job at a college where we went to high school, and we kind of went into that, and it was really interesting to get more into his, I guess you could say, quote unquote, backstory of how really where he came from, what was going on with that, and really ultimately how we met. So it worked out for the best, because now he's a good buddy. And even though he's, thousands upon thousands across a couple oceans here away from me, it's really cool to have somebody that's so down for the show, for the podcast, and wants to make it better, man. So it's, I don't mean to be blowing smoke out this dude's ass, but he's really helped out the channel and the podcast. And it feels weird not having him in the cast. It's weird just looking at you right now, not him, but we got to keep it going, man. And I know he wouldn't want us to stop the cast because he couldn't make it. So, but anyway, enough about me, man. Let's talk about you. So first off, let me just tell you that I found your channel just, what I'm trying to do is I'm looking around on YouTube to people that are doing a lot of the same things like me. And, I love movies. I love talking about some games here and there. Although I have more of a passion for movies, I will say. Like, although I love to play games,
Definitely.
I do have more of a passion for movies. And so I found your channel because I believe I posted a review on Secret Window, I believe. It's a movie that came out back in the day. I think it's underrated. It's a Stephen King story, short story that was
Johnny
adapted.
Depp?
Yeah. And it's underrated. When you think about some of Johnny Depp's best movies, that one goes under the radar. So when I posted that in my suggested tab of YouTube, I seen Marotta Media pop up. I clicked on it, and here you are today, and that's why you're here. But I was looking at your videos, and I looked at a couple. I looked at Jurassic World review. I seen your Barbarian review, and I saw how your videos look, the video quality, the way your speech, the way you carried yourself in the videos. And I was like, man, this is a guy I gotta holler at, try to have you on the show. So first, I want to commend you for that. But also, what I want to ask you is, what made you get into that? How long has your YouTube channel been around? And I mean, are you really trying to carry this thing into something more? Just talk about it a little bit.
Well, I started my channel, when was it? In like, I think 2018 is when I first made the channel, because doing YouTube just as a hobby is something that I always really, just the thought of that always really intrigued me. And I graduated from college in 2018, and I was a film major in college. And I'll just say, like, it was a little bit tough finding a job in that time. And I'm like, well, I kind of want to make some stuff. So it's like, maybe now's the perfect time to, get into those movie reviews that I always talked about making. And I've been doing it ever since.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, you obviously have a passion for movies, right? You have a passion for just talking about them, just reviewing. I mean, what is really, like, when you make a video, are you looking at more of like just like critiquing a video, like a movie, or are you more of like just talking about like really film as like an art form kind of thing? Because I've seen kind of a little bit of both of that in your videos,
Yeah, it's a little bit of both, because there are some movies, I see where, like, I'm either blown away or I thought they were horrible, and I have to talk about this. And yeah, it mostly just comes from that stand. Like, if there's a movie I watch where I'm just like, this was either so horrible or so good that I need to make a video on it, that's usually where it comes from.
Right. And would you say you're a guy that if a movie is absolute dog shit, are you excited to bash it on camera, or have you tried to see the good even in a crappy film? Because I have an example for that, but I'll let you answer that first.
Oh yeah, 100%. I can be very, very critical, and I've noticed on YouTube that being really critical and mean kind of sells. So there are times where I may over exaggerate a little bit, but basically what I do, I just take all of my feelings and just put them all out there. And you saw my Jurassic World Dominion review. I couldn't stand that movie. I hated every second of it. And that is my most viewed video. It has over 5,000 views. And if you look at the comments, it's just a bunch of people talking about how great they thought the movie was and how I don't know what I'm talking about. And stuff like that. I just laugh at it. It was like, these people really care what I have to say. And so, yeah, I love just bashing movies if I ever have the chance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit of both. One thing I do try to promote, whether I do my podcast or I make videos on the channel, is I try not to. So you got a lot of YouTubers out there, and I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but a lot of people like to oversell something or overhype something than what the quality is actually portrayed. Sort of like, for instance, like, okay, I don't know how much in the gaming you are, but let's take God of War Ragnarok, for example. Okay. That comes out in November, and the trailer came out. And when I watched it, I was genuinely like, okay, well, I was going to buy it, but now it's like considered already paid for. But you have some of these people that were like, just, oh my God, like, this is like the perfect thing that I've ever seen. And I've kind of, when you oversell it, it's just kind of comes off a bit corny. And I don't personally like, I don't go for that. And I mean, if that's what some people do to sell a video, that's fine. But I don't know. To me, it just seems kind of fake. Would you agree with that?
Like putting on an act, you mean?
Yeah, like just kind of like over because the way that people were reacting for certain, especially I'm just saying, for example, God War Ragnarok, the people that were just going nuts over what they saw. I think the last shot, you see Kratos coming to fight Thor, and they throw the Leviathan axe and Mjolnir at the same time. It collides together. They come to fight each other, and people just went nuts. And I'm like, well, what did you expect? Like I think everybody knew that Thor and Kratos were going to have to fight. So I don't know. It seems like it's kind of overselling it when that's not really necessary. It just seems a little corny, but I don't know. That's why I was kind of curious to see what you thought about it, because maybe you don't think so, but to me, it just seems it's a little corny.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree to an extent, but it's
right.
To me, it's all about like you're trying to sell your product,
right?
So and like over exaggeration is a good way to sell it, in my experience, at least.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean that's fair. I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but that is fair. So yeah, so anyway, just go back to your videos for a second. So you have some really high end work here. I mean, so let me ask you this: like, as far as because I've just gotten into the world of really editing videos. I did videos for a long time where I literally just sat in a chair and I talked to my audience, and that was it. I didn't edit. I didn't put any images or anything from movies or movie scenes or whatever. So I've seen your editing your videos, and it's really impressive, man. So what I was going to ask you was, did you have to learn? I mean, how did that learning curve go? Did you do any of that in college, or is that something you kind of learned on your own on how to do?
Oh no, I learned all that. Yeah, my senior year of high school, I took a class called Interactive Digital Media, and that was my high school's film class, basically. And then when I went on to college and I studied film, I learned more and more. So that's definitely where it comes from. I wish I could say it all came naturally, but nah, not this time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, because there's a couple different, obviously, software you can use for videos. Is there any in particular that you've maybe tried? And I mean, what's one, if you don't mind me asking, like, what are you sticking with now to really get that quality in your videos? Because I mean, everything looks good. I mean, I know a lot of that comes with camera as well. They're having a really good high fidelity camera, but what else goes into editing? I mean, what do you use?
It's just basic stuff. I use all Adobe products. I use Adobe Premiere to edit my videos, and I use Photoshop to make my thumbnails. That's really it. Those are really the core two that I use. I have all the Adobe programs, but I don't use a lot of them extensively. I may use Lightroom, but that's more for picture editing, and that's a lot of fun to play around with. But for video, it's primarily Premiere and Photoshop.
Okay, good deal. So when you're thinking of videos to make, are you trying to stick with mostly new releases? Or are you trying to sprinkle in some of your, I don't know, like maybe like some of your favorite movies or some movies that you've watched, maybe, just with some friends or something? Are you doing mostly new releases, or are you doing like just stuff whatever you want to do?
Yeah, usually stuff that's fresh in my mind, and typically it is new releases, but there are movies, that I've seen the past few years that I would love to make a full review on. But yeah, it's mostly movies that just came out, and because those are more fresh in my head. And I really wish I could put videos out like as soon as the movie comes out, but I just don't have that kind of time because I don't know how your process is, but what I need to do is like sometimes during the movie, especially if it's just me in there, I may take my phone out and jot notes down, and then I got to write a script, and then I need to film it. And I don't know if it's obvious in my videos, but I do screw up quite a bit, and I constantly have to repeat myself over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely awful. I mean, honestly, I'm just
well, at least now I know for sure.
Right.
Yeah, but I screw up so often. The clip that I used could be a half hour, and then I'll have to whittle it down to like 10 minutes, and it's a pretty time consuming process because once that's all done, then I got to add the effects, the animations, the trailer footage, and it's a lot of work. I wish I had more time to do it, but when you work a full-time job, it's a little difficult.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I've kind of had to really prioritize my time since really getting into the channel. I've had to really just learn how to get like, cause for me, yeah, I work at least a 40-hour week. And my hours are pretty decent, but I have to drive. I have to commute a little bit to work. So by the time I get there and then I work my 10-hour shift and I come home, I usually just want to try to get to the gym, try to work out a little bit. And then I have to try to put time away to do this as well. And it's tough, man, because I didn't realize it. And I really did. I knew it was a lot of work, but you really don't know it until you actually do it. And see, the way that I edit videos is not like everybody else does. It seems like to me you have more of an extensive process, and I'm still learning the ins and outs on what it takes to make a high quality video. So
yeah,
I get what you're saying. It's a lot of work, man. It really is. Like if this was easy, everybody would do it. And I guess that goes with anything in life. Like you got people who watch basketball and football and things like that. And they're like, man, well, they're making $1 million to play a sport. Yeah, they're getting paid millions of dollars because it's not easy. This is not, it's not easy just to go out there and play. You're dedicating your entire life or a good chunk of your life to do this activity. So it's tough, man. So I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I get you. So you mostly stick to new releases. Do you? I didn't look at. I'm not trying to stalk your YouTube, so I apologize for if I ask you something and it's like, what? You're not looking at my channel? Nah. So do you do any reviews on like any TV shows, like anything like that?
TV shows are a little bit more difficult because it's a lot longer and you have to remember more stuff. I think the last time, when was it? I think the last time I can remember that I reviewed a TV show on my YouTube channel was Game of Thrones season 8. And yeah, because obviously, a lot of people had a lot to say about that show that season, and I did too. But I've done a few reviews. I do have a TikTok as well, as I believe you saw, and I've reviewed a few shows on there. Like I've given my thoughts on Barry and what are some other ones? Like I think some of the Marvel shows I've done short reviews of. But on my YouTube, I think it's just been Game of Thrones season 8 because those are a little bit harder to make.
Yeah, because I tried to do that. I've really been racking my brain around doing. I don't know if you've ever seen. I'm sure you have. Most people have, but Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul reviews on the channel, and I've tried to sit down and really like hunker down into that. Like I have like a book in my office where I'm trying to write all stuff down. I have documents on my computer, and I'm trying to get the script right, and I just can't seem to formulate my thoughts as good as if I was doing a movie review. That would you say that makes sense? Like it's like a movie, it's a little bit easier, a little bit more concise. And it's even better when the movie sucks, because then you can just take like half of the review and just say it's dog shit, and then you can just kind of go from there. But the TV show, it's like you really have to be precise with every argument you're trying to make. And I still have yet to do it. It might be a while before it happens.
It's definite. I would definitely agree because because a movie is just one thing, and so when you watch a movie and then it's over. Like unless there's a sequel, but obviously you're gonna be focused on what you just watched. With a TV show, and now with the streaming services going back to the weekly releases, which is what I believe they should be doing.
Right.
It's definitely a little harder to remember everything because I just I believe you made a review of it of Cobra Kai. I'm a big fan of that show, and I just started watching season 5, right?
See, yes, the new season.
Yeah, and I watched the first episode of season 5, and I was like, wait, when did that happen? I don't remember that. When did this occur? So it's really difficult to remember. So yeah, I think it's much easier to review a movie than it is a TV show.
Yeah, and I think it's just harder too to remember everything. Like I have a coworker, and God bless him, he's a good dude, but he watches like 5 shows at one time, and I just don't. Maybe it's because maybe I'm just not all there. I don't know, but I cannot focus on all 3 to 5 of those storylines at one time. Like he is watching like Ozark at one point, Better Call Saul. I think like he's a little bit into anime, so he's watching like 2 animes, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Like I couldn't keep up. I mean, I don't know how he finishes shows.
Yeah, I definitely have a problem with starting shows and not finishing them too.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I think I've only watched season 1 of Ozark, so I got to catch up on that, and I got to catch up on the MCU shows too. I have not finished Captain Marvel or not Miss Marvel
Right.
or She-Hulk, and that's mostly due to the fact that my interest in the MCU is waning drastically.
Yeah.
But that's a completely different story. But yeah, I have a very bad habit of starting a show but not finishing it. So
Yeah. Matter of fact, that was going to be one of my, after I was actually going to bring that up as far as what you thought about the current day MCU, because I have a lot of thoughts in there, and spoiler alert, they're very negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's understandable. I was just going to say it's understandable because I have a lot of negative things to say about the MCU as well, but a lot of people don't want to hear it.
Yeah, it seems, and I don't mean to be, this is how me and Jan, when we do this podcast, we'll go from zigzagging sometimes. I don't mean to always switch topics, but while we're on that, I just don't believe, and I'd like to hear your opinion on what you thought about Marvel pre Endgame, and even of course after Endgame, of course, but I just don't think they make media for guys like us. Like I think, and from what I'm getting from you is that you're a huge narrative guy. You like good stories, and I'm not saying that everything the MCU has put out, even before Endgame, was just everything was just spit shined and everything made sense. Because obviously we're talking about superheroes here. This is larger than life beings, but I'll be honest with you, man. I haven't watched She-Hulk. I haven't watched Miss Marvel. I think the last show I watched was, I want to say, was Falcon and Winter Soldier, the most recent before Miss Marvel started. Am I right on that? Or was it WandaVision? WandaVision came first.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is one of the older ones, because after that we had like What If, Loki, and Hawkeye.
And Hawkeye, and then there was Moon Knight too, right?
Moon Knight, yeah, and Moon Knight as well.
Okay, I got. Okay, my bad, dude. I'm
I'm
so way out of it.
It's a lot of stuff,
dude. No, but see, it's not even that. I'm so out of that like realm right now that I can't even remember where I stopped. Now that we're talking about it, I do. I think I stopped halfway through Moon Knight because I was just getting. I could feel myself getting irritated. Not that I know Moon Knight front to back. Like, he's not like a Spider-Man to me, right? I feel like I know Spider-Man, his array of heroes and villains that cooperate with him and whatnot. But with Moon Knight, I was a little irritated because I know that's a darker hero, and I was really wanting Marvel to really press those boundaries, and they failed to do so. So I say all that to say, what did you think about the MCU as a whole pre-Endgame? And did you really love everything they were doing? And then I'd like to hear what you think about from here on, since Endgame and forward. I mean, what do you think about really MCU as a whole?
Well, the MCU, I think it had a very strong start. It all started with Iron Man back in 2008, and I still think the first Iron Man is top 10 MCU, maybe even top 10 superhero movies of all time. The first Iron Man is fantastic.
It is.
And obviously, it all led to Endgame. But no, I didn't love every single movie that came out leading up to Endgame. I did not like Iron Man 2 or 3. Like most people, I did not like Thor: The Dark World. I did not really care for Captain Marvel. What other ones were there? I didn't really care for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay. How about Black Panther? Did you like that one? Okay.
Black Panther was good. I just found it to be very, very overhyped. It's a good movie though, and I did like it.
Right. Okay.
But to answer now after Endgame, Phase 4, I believe, is where I think this is without a doubt the weakest phase, because a lot of people are just they act like these movies are the greatest things ever made, and I really don't think that they are that. Like, where did Phase 4 even start? I think it started with Black Widow. I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's right.
I think it started. Yeah, Black Widow. I didn't hate Black Widow. It was decent, but the problem with Black Widow is that it felt unnecessary because, as we know, Black Widow died in Endgame, and now she's getting her own movie, so it didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But like most people, I was very, very hyped for Spider-Man Far From Home, and I'm a Spider-Man fanboy. I've been a huge fan of Spider-Man since I was a kid. I've seen all the movies. When I was a kid, my room was all Spider-Man stuff. And after I watched that movie, I really liked it. But the more I think about it, the more I realize like it wasn't that great. Not that it was bad, but it wasn't that great. It was just, it just was writing. It was more focused on trying to be nostalgic than anything.
I agree.
Because, you know, everybody in my theater, I'm sure they did in your theater too, when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showed up, everyone just completely lost their minds.
Right.
And it is a good movie, but I would definitely watch it again. But I feel like it would be really awkward to watch it without an audience, because I've seen clips of it and there's like these really, really long pauses, like so between dialogue, so people can applaud like a sitcom. And that doesn't really seem right to me. But
yeah, right.
But there's been some good stuff, I would say, in Phase 4. Like I loved Loki. I really liked WandaVision. Strangely enough, I loved Hawkeye. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed that show. I did not like What If. I did not like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I thought Moon Knight was very, very boring. What else has there been? There's been Shang-Chi, another good one, but also overrated. And here's a hot take for you.
Okay.
I liked Eternals more than Shang-Chi.
That's not a bad hot take.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen on Eternals is the lowest rated MCU movie ever.
Yes, I saw it.
And I did not think it was that bad. I liked Eternals. It's not perfect, it's not amazing, but I enjoyed it.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing. I don't mean to stop you. But what I'll say is that what Eternals does right is at least they try, and they do okay in some parts. They do try to tell you a story. And it's hard because they're introducing these new characters that I'm not saying no one's heard of them. Maybe you heard of the Eternals before this movie was announced.
Honestly,
I don't know. No. I haven't either. So obviously they're introducing these new characters to this already established universe. What they did great was at least try to tell you a story. Now here's where the MCU fails, is then you have Thor: Love and Thunder, and that absolute dog shit of a film. Really, and that one right there, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Brandon. That one right there may have sealed it for me as far as my excitement for movie. And my excitement was already waning after Endgame. I think Endgame was probably it for me. And I'm in the boat with you on No Way Home, 100%. I love it for what it does. I love Willem Dafoe as Goblin. And of course, Toby to me, he'll always be the GOAT. I don't think anybody will ever touch him, even though I like Andrew too. I do think Toby's the GOAT. And me and Jan, actually, it's funny. And maybe I'll have to link you to this as well, is me and Jan, we had like a whole 10-minute segment just bashing Tom Holland. Here's the thing. It's not Tom Holland's fault. I don't think Tom Holland's a bad actor. I've seen him in there was a movie on Netflix called The Devil All the Time, and I thought he did a great job in that.
That's a really good movie.
Really
underrated. I thought.
Correct. Yes, I definitely. So he's had some good films, but I just think like he's kind of typecasted right now. He kind of plays a lot of the same characters, and I don't think that's all his fault. I think that's a lot of his flair and what makes him likable. But I also think that what I look into with a Peter Parker, I think that he's a little bit of a wuss in those movies. He's very dependent on other people. Now he did at the end of No Way Home, he did become the Spider-Man that we know, but that's all writing. That's not his fault. You know what I mean? So I don't really, me and Jan were just having some good fun on Tom Holland as a whole. But yeah, I'm like I said, man, just to get back to the MCU of it whole, I just to bounce on what you said. I think after Thor: Love and Thunder, that really took me out of it. I think that I know that Wolverine just got announced in Deadpool 3. Because I'm a fan, I am excited for that, but I'm also a little skeptical of that as well. And I'm looking forward to Guardians, and that's about it for me. I don't know how you are, but that's about it as far as my interest.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who hated Love and Thunder. I did not hate it. It wasn't good, I would say.
It
was just fine, but it felt like a wasted opportunity because I love Ragnarok.
Correct. Yeah.
I thought that movie was awesome, and I'm like, okay, you're following Ragnarok, and Christian Bale is your villain, and he did a great job in that movie. I thought he was just very underutilized.
Very, very.
But yeah, I was looking forward to that. That movie was just it was just fine. I didn't love it. I didn't really hate it. I know there are some people I follow that I'm not even kidding gave that movie like 4.5 stars out of 5, and they
Okay,
actually
it's not. Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. I just was like disgusted with what they did to my man. Thor was my favorite. I mean, you can see right here. I have a Thor statue in the back. I mean, that was my
oh yeah, I can see
really.
it now.
It was Iron Man first, and then Thor was like my second favorite out of the NCU. And just to see what they've done to this guy, they've really made him a dumbass. Really, there's really no other way to really say it. Other
Oh
than
yeah,
that
for
he's
sure.
just he's dumber than ever. And Chris Hemsworth is a funny dude. He's charismatic as crap, man. I mean, and that's never really been an issue. But then when you just make Thor a joke, just like a shell of what he was, I just can't take him seriously. It's just not.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem an all powerful god like being anymore. He seems like the biggest joke.
Yeah, definitely. Because, and I know a lot of people criticize Taika Waititi because of that. Because I watched videos that said he doesn't fully understand the character of Thor, and I love Taika Waititi because, like I said, I loved Ragnarok, and he did Jojo Rabbit, which he won an Oscar for. That
Right.
was one of my favorite movies of 2019. I love that movie. But it seemed like with this one, and he made a joke about it before the movie came out. He like tweeted a picture of himself saying like, "This is definitely not me asleep behind the camera while they were filming Love and Thunder." And it's like, well, it seems like you were asleep behind the camera the entire time because this movie it's not very good.
No, no. What I think is in my boss at work, he's a big superhero guy, and he was taught he had seen Thor: Love and Thunder like 2 weeks before I saw it, and he said I asked him how it was when he went to go see it, and he was like, well, I'm not going to say much. How about you just go see it, and then we'll talk about it. And so I did, and we had a decent conversation, and that was one of the things that my boss had mentioned is that it seemed like they really let Taika just. They seen the success of Ragnarok, and I know Taika did direct that one as well. Correct? I think he
Yeah, he did Ragnarok too.
So when he had that film, you could tell that was definitely Taika all the way through, but it seemed like he was toned down a bit. Like they still had the jokes and the humor and the craziness that you expect from him, but it was toned down. With Thor: Love and Thunder, it almost like they said, well, Taika, look, Ragnarok sold like hotcakes, man. Here, take the reins, and you just put your entire personality in this film. And I'm not one of those. I don't love Taika, but he seems like again, another charismatic guy. He seems like just a sweet person to talk to. But I felt like when they just said, here, take the reins, you do whatever you want with it. I felt like that was the downfall, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that he put a little bit too much of himself in that. And that's why you bring in someone like Christian Bale. And Christian Bale, dude, that dude is absolute phenomenal actor.
Definitely.
And you bring him in to play Gore the God Butcher. And I don't know much about Gore the God Butcher, but I know he's a really tough villain. And to bring him in, this was not his movie. He should have had another serious storyline to put him into. And I just think they failed miserably at that, man. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree because like, every time Christian Bale was on screen, I'm like, yes, we need more of this.
Dude,
like the scene when they go to that planet or whatever where it was all black and white, that was a really good scene,
dude.
but that's like really all we got. And it just seemed like the movie didn't it didn't fully fulfill its potential. Like it feels like that movie should have been fantastic, and it wasn't.
Yeah, and I actually just saw. I don't know if you seem to be really into movie news and things like that. I saw that Christian Bale had said they had filmed some rated R type scenes for this film. Did you hear about that?
I think so. Yeah, I think they said he had a lot of scenes that got cut. I believe I heard that somewhere.
Right. Yeah, and it just makes you think like, what did they really cut out, man? Because Yeah, like, what would you say he was in the movie for what, like 15, 20 minutes tops, maybe something like that?
Probably.
Maybe not even that long.
Yeah, probably because he's the first character we see. Like he's
Correct.
wandering through the desert. His daughter died, and I thought it was a really good introduction to his character
Yes.
and setting up his motivations and why he's doing what he's doing. But it's never fully expanded upon beyond that. But yeah, that scene at the beginning is definitely where he's in it the most. But after that, he's not in it very much.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a shame because, like you said, I mean, it was a very compelling start. A little generic. We've seen that a lot with a character goes through a great loss, and that's what makes them turn. That what makes them flip. You know, like the Joker says, all it takes is one really
One
bad
bad
day,
day.
and so you've seen that before, but it was compelling enough. And with Christian Bale's performance for that first little bit, man, I thought for just a second because I was hearing leading into that movie that this movie's a big joke, but I was like, man, let me give it a benefit of the doubt because look, I know you don't know me that well, but let me just put this out there. I'm probably, I wouldn't say I'm like the number one Marvel hater, but I'm pretty close. I'm not a very, I'm I'm a DC guy at heart. Okay, I will say that I am a DC guy, and I know that the films in DCU have not been great. But all in all, I think I've had more of a connection to DC stuff. I mean, my phone case here is, I mean, you know, so like I've always been a very DC guy, but I don't like the feel of these Marvel. I think the media and Marvel in general. I mean, I haven't watched any She-Hulk or Miss Marvel, man, but I don't want none of that business. Let me ask you this right now: do they have some good in these shows, or is it trash? I mean, what? Give me your honest opinion of that. So far, so far.
I don't. It's the problem is with a lot of the MCU shows is they have a really, really good start and then they fizzle out by the end. Because I thought Moon Knight had a really good start. I was really intrigued by what was going on. But then by, I think, episode 4, I was completely disinterested in what I was watching. I think I finished Moon Knight. I just had it on my TV and I was just doing stuff like around. I was just like on my phone. I was cleaning, doing laundry, and I just had Moon Knight on because like I really couldn't care less about what's happening. I've only watched 2 episodes of She-Hulk, but I know that that's a very popular show to hate on, and a lot of people like just hate on it to hate on it. And I don't think it's very good so far because they make everything a joke. They make Hulk a joke. They make Abomination a joke, and She-Hulk they make She-Hulk this character that just stepped right into the role of Hulk. Like she just automatically knew everything, and that took Bruce Banner years to do. And she just steps right in. She's like, "Look, I can do all of this just like that." And personally, I think that's terrible writing. But I mean, and I think we're 7 episodes in now, and I do see what people say, and I'm sure you know Daredevil is in She-Hulk. But Daredevil has not shown up yet, and I think there's maybe 2 episodes left, and Daredevil still hasn't even shown up.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that right there. Like I know they put that in the trailer to just to amp up the show, and I totally get that because that made me like really interested. When I saw Daredevil show up, I was like, I love Daredevil and I love Charlie Cox in the role, and I was really excited myself. But what I'm hearing is that they've teased it. They've showed like his MCU costume designer. They've showed the helmet, but they have not showed Daredevil yet. And I'm like, man, I mean, like, what are you gonna wait till like the finale? It looks like to me it's gonna be a finale thing.
Yeah, if they do that, I know a lot of people are going to be very upset because they teased Daredevil to be like he was an integral part of the show, and it seems like he's just not going to be.
Well, see, I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together. And you know, I'm not trying to make this like a She-Hulk bit, even though I'm fine with it. You know, because I love having these conversations. What seems like with a guy that someone has the same opinion on the MCU as a whole. You might not be as hard on it as me, but it seems like we're kind of vibing on the same way here. I don't know why I didn't think about it, and maybe I'll look stupid for saying this out loud, but Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk, she's a lawyer, and I don't know why it never dawned on me. Like when they announced She-Hulk, I don't know why it never dawned on me that Matt Murdock is a lawyer as well. So it almost like it makes sense that he would show up in some capacity, and I don't know why that never dawned on me.
That is a good point. Honestly, I never thought about that either.
Right. Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one then, because when I don't know why that never put two and two together. I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's a lawyer, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know much about her, so whatever. I'm willing to give it a shot. And then like right when the show had its first trailer and Daredevil showed up, I'm like, holy crap, man, am I like that stupid? I knew that he was a lawyer, so it only makes sense that his
Mhm.
inception would be in She-Hulk.
Yeah. And he was in No Way Home, remember?
Well, yeah, right,
That
right,
in
yeah,
hindsight, that's another thing about No Way Home, that because I mean, Daredevil didn't really need to be his lawyer. It could have
correct.
been anybody. They just did it for fan service, really.
Yeah, they did. They did. It's bad because then you got people like my wife. God bless her. She's she's great, but we were sitting there in the movies and Matt Murdock shows up and she's like tapping my arm like violently, like that's Daredevil, and I'm sitting there like, shut up. You haven't even. She hasn't even watched any of the Daredevil shows or like any of the seasons of the show or anything, and I'm like, you only know a face because of what it says on TikTok. You don't even know this guy.
Yeah, it's yeah, the Daredevil show on Netflix was fantastic. So it
Yeah.
was a shame that it ended. But yeah, yeah. My when I went to go see that movie with a big group of people. I went with some friends, and my friend's his wife invited her entire family. I think there were maybe like 10 to 12 of us. And when Daredevil showed up, my friend who I was sitting next to, I don't think he's ever seen the show. Everyone was cheering, and he's like, "What? Who the hell is that?" I was like, it's like, "That's Daredevil." He's like, "Oh, I didn't know." Yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, it didn't really serve any purpose in the story, so it's fine that you didn't know.
Well, see that's the thing. Like, I mean, while we're here, I'm curious to see your thoughts on it. Like, while we're here, let's just put this out there, and I'm going to say something that's probably controversial. And I know if a guy is watching right now, I'm going to hear about it later, but I don't care. Screw you. Uh, Spider-Man No Way Home story is really not that good, and I'm just saying it's his growth and Spider-Man that might be like the best part of it, and even there,
Definitely.
I'm a little skeptical on. But besides, like you said, the nostalgia, having Willem Dafoe as Goblin, he stole the show like he did back in 2001, 2002. I've watched the original first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire probably a million times, and I can
Mhm.
recite that movie. I know the musical cues, I know the lines, I have that's a special place in my heart for that film. So seeing Toby again was like, almost like and it's gonna sound weird, but it almost took me away. It like took me out of it. Like if I was to die right now, I was like, holy crap, I just saw my hero come back
Mhm.
and play this character again. But after you take the rose colored lenses off, you take these bad boys off, you realize the movie really is not that good. Acceptable,
Mhm.
fun, not that good.
I mean, I would have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since it came out. It's been almost a
What?
year, believe it or not.
Wow.
And yeah, that movie came out in December. We're now in October, so it's crazy that it's been a year since that came out. But I felt the same way because, you know, I grew up like the first Spider-Man movie came out in 2002, and I remember going to see that movie in theaters. So seeing Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina and Thomas Hayden Church all what's the word I'm looking for? Recite? Why am I blanking on that word? I don't. But come back as the
Right,
villains that they
right.
played. Um, it
Reprise. Is that what you meant?
Reprise,
Reprise?
that's what it was. I don't
That's
know
it.
why I
Okay.
couldn't remember that word, but seeing
Okay.
them reprise their roles as those characters, like, it's like, wow, it feels like I'm back, in 2002, 2004, 2007 when the three original Spider-Man movies came out. But I do agree with you. My biggest praise of that movie was I thought Peter's character development was really, really good because at the end as you know, he wants to introduce himself to MJ and Ned again, but then he realizes their lives are so good and he decides not to and just let them live. And I'm like, that's a
Mhm.
really big stepping stone in his growth as a character. And I'm looking forward to
Right.
see where it goes next. But yeah, a lot of people were definitely just blinded by the nostalgia of it. But in hindsight, it is a good movie. And one of my cousins actually got mad at me because I said, after I watched the movie, it was still fresh. I said, that's not the best Spider Man movie, not even close. I would
Yep.
I would put Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2 above that. Maybe even Homecoming. I really like Homecoming.
Really?
Yeah, I loved Homecoming. That's another one I have not seen in a long time, but I really enjoyed that movie too.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get on that really quick. And I know we're kind of hopping around, but now I'm curious. So, what about Spider-Man: Homecoming did you like? Because I wasn't a really big fan of that one.
Okay, like it's been a few years since I've seen
Okay.
that movie
Okay.
too, but I thought it was a pretty solid solo introduction to Tom Holland as the character. Like you said, you're not fond of him as Spider-Man, but I think he does a good job. I think everybody who has played Spider-Man has done something about the character really well, and I
Right.
think Tom Holland, just that teenage adolescence he embodies very, very well, because I think Toby was a really good Peter Parker, and I think Andrew was a really good Spider-Man. Now, if you
Hmm.
mix those two together, I think Tom Holland kind of has both in a way. I'm not
You
saying
think
he's
so?
better than either one of them,
Right.
but I think he has that like naivety of a teenager in high school when he's Peter Parker, but he has that cockiness and stubbornness and wit when he's Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is the one thing that hasn't really sold me as Spider-Man, and again, this all comes down to writing. You know, and this is
Mhm.
I know we can joke and say things about Tom Holland. All in all, it's not the guy's fault. He seems like a good guy, but the thing that I personally don't like, and I think if Jan was here, he'd probably completely disagree with you, is the fact of that I've never really truly felt that Tom Holland's version of the character took full on responsibility for his duties as Spider-Man. Like for me, when you go back to those Toby movies, Toby, it didn't take his Peter Parker that long to like fully be like, okay, look, I have this is my I think he said it then, this is my gift, my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man. Like he's taken these new abilities he's got as more of like a curse. Like he knows he has to live with it, and he knows he needs to use his power to protect New York. I never really ever got that with Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Like he's always wanted to do good. He's always wanted to help people. Hence why he became Spider-Man in the first place. But especially in the beginning, there it was all about what can I do to impress Mr. Stark? What can I do? And I understand he's a teenager. I get it, but I feel like I do like that progression of he gets bitten. Well, he gets bitten. He loses Uncle Ben, and
Mhm.
then from there you kind of have that. Okay, holy crap, this is the real world. I have these gifts. I'm young. My father like figure just passed, and now I have to man up and really, and I have to do what I think my destiny is. And I don't think Tom Holland's version has really given me that. And that's why I was kind of surprised when you said Homecoming, because Homecoming, it just seems like he's definitely a kid. He wants to be an Avenger so bad, and I think he's thinking so much large scale and not just let me just protect New York. And I think that's where I've had an issue with him.
Yeah, I can understand both sides of that, because I really liked that they didn't go over his origins again in
Yeah,
Homecoming, because
yeah,
you know
that's
we
fine.
we know this character. We know that he's Peter Parker. We know Uncle Ben was killed. We know all of this because we've seen it multiple times. So I like that they didn't show that, but I can understand where you're coming from, because if they did show that, it probably would have added a little bit more character development, but I understand both sides of that argument for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like to me too. I don't know how. Did you ever watch any of the like animated cartoons when you were a kid? Like I'm trying to think which one is
Yeah.
it just called? Is it just called The Amazing Spider-Man? It's the one that came on early Saturday morning. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think.
there's a lot of I when I was a kid, I watched the one from the 60s. I did watch
Oh,
that
okay.
one. And there
Okay.
was another one. I know what you're talking about. Like I think it was from the 90s. Did Mary Jane have like red hair?
Yes. Yeah.
And she wore like I think a yellow sweater. And I know her hair is
I
usually
believe.
red, but she had like
Yeah. Yeah.
really bright
Yeah.
red hair, and she had I think a yellow sweater, and I think I know
Yeah.
which one you're talking about.
I
But
but
yes,
yeah.
I did watch
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, like even in that one, and I know you're kind of you're focusing on a college level Peter Parker, but it's still it just you can really feel that responsibility, even from an animated representation of the character, like his duty to take this on and take the city on. And I
Mhm.
just never really got there from Tom Holland's. And again, that's not I don't think that's his fault. I think it's
No,
just the
definitely not.
writing. But that's not really. I'm not saying it's even bad writing. I don't really like it. I think
Mhm.
that he is charismatic, and he is someone that's He's cool to follow, and I will say that. And he's likable too, and I think that's really good to have, especially in any character in any medium. But yeah, I know me and Jan really went in on him in one podcast, and we joked about it, we laughed. We're like, just no hate on him. But I think that that might be a reason why too that I'm kind of falling out of the MCU as well. Is that just and again, they don't make movies for me. They make movies for the majority, and I totally get that. But here's what I'll say: I don't really like the direction of Spider-Man, although it does look bright now for sure. If he still wants to do the role. I know the guy was talking about he wasn't even sure what he wanted to do.
He's been going back and forth. I don't know what's happening now.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know if it's like contract negotiations. I don't know if it's just. I know he said that, and he said this, and I winced when he said it because he said, "I don't feel like there's much more I can bring to the character." And I'm sitting there like, do you not realize how many villains Spider-Man has, how many storylines that they have yet to touch in your mythos, and you think you've already brought all you can to the character? I'm not.
Yeah, I've noticed Tom Holland is kind of like that because I believe he said he wasn't really fond of his performance that he brought in Uncharted. I don't know if you saw Uncharted.
Yeah, yes, I have.
That's another movie this year that I could not stand.
And, shit.
Yeah, and I posted I posted it on my YouTube too, but I made one of those like just a quick recap of a bunch of movies I've seen this year, with all those memes like of Moist Critical screaming and then The Rock saying it's the biggest piece of dog shit. And in that one
I've seen that.
I said Uncharted is the biggest piece of dog shit, and I'm still probably right now. I've been getting comments on TikTok and YouTube. Everyone's like, "What do you mean Uncharted was so good?" I'm like, I don't think so. Like I said, I thought it was a piece of dog shit.
Man, and see, you actually go a little bit harder on it than I do because I've played all the games. I adore that franchise, and as in general, I didn't completely hate it, but I didn't love it either. But it's not a bad watch. But Jan made a good point in a podcast. We were talking about it, and he said, "Well, let me ask." And this is him talking to me. So let me ask you this: are you just okay with fine? Because I think I said the film is fine, is what I said. He said, "Well, are you okay with just fine? Yeah. Is that what you're okay with?" And I'm like, "Well, then you got me there."
Yeah, if it was fine, I wouldn't have gone so hard on it. But I'm a big fan of those games too. I played all of them, and to me, the movie it felt nothing like Uncharted. Because I think Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg were horribly miscast. Because I know obviously they're going for it's an origin story, but when you in the first Uncharted movie, Nathan Drake is not middle age. I would say he's maybe in his 30s, and Sully is an old man. And you made Nathan Drake a guy in his 20s who's bartending, who doesn't really know anything, and Sully is Mark Wahlberg. And in that movie, I feel like he's just playing Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. I don't know what see, here's the thing. I will say, I think the Tom Holland cat. So, all right. So I don't know how much you know about this, the development cycle of this movie, but I know it was in development hell for many, many years. I think I've heard them talking about the production of this movie since. So I graduated high school in 2015. I've heard about this movie being made probably since I was like in middle school. I'd say like 7th or 8th grade, I was hearing about it. So I know it's been in development for quite some time. And I know that Mark Wahlberg was set to play Nathan Drake. That was always kind of weird to me, but it would make more sense. He definitely does not make sense as Sully at all. Like at all. They try to do that thing at the very end where they put the mustache on him finally. And I'm sitting here like, why did you just put the mustache on him throughout the whole movie? Like if you're gonna do that, and they just kind of made it more like a joke.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here like, if you would have just done that, at least you would have tried a little. But when you don't even do that, Tom Holland, I don't really have it probably sounds like I'm bashing Tom Holland. Look, I think as far as Nathan Drake goes, he could play the role okay. But all I see is that whiny ass Peter Parker that we see in MCU only this time everybody's
Yeah.
calling him Nathan.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because in the games, Nathan Drake is definitely, an experienced dude. And one thing I didn't like is when the scene when they're on the plane and all the crates are flying out the back, which if you played the games, is from the third game.
Right. Yep.
But in that scene, like, he kicks someone off, and obviously the guy's dead, and he apologizes to him, and I'm like, that's not Nathan Drake. I mean, Nathan Drake I don't know if he's really fond of it, but he kills people left and right if he has to. He just does it, but he doesn't apologize.
He's the world's greatest murderer. I swear, like, you kill so many people in those games and you don't realize it. Because Nathan Drake seems like genuinely, yeah, he's a thief. Like, you can't trust him, but you don't really see him as this murdering asshole. But I mean, in those games, you kill hundreds of people, like, with every playthrough. So it's almost like, yeah, he shouldn't be. I mean, I understand too, like, he probably has never killed somebody before at that point. But they just kind of went over that and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and a dude's just flying off the back of the plane, which that was a major gripe of mine, because in my opinion, if they were going to make movies on this franchise, they should have started with the first one. And if they wanted to add their own little pieces to the story and change it up, then that's fine. But what they did with this film, they just threw iconic moments from each one and slammed it into one film. And it's like, and then by the end of it, they're sequel baiting. They show Sam and he's in prison. They're sequel bait. What the hell are you going to do with the story going forward? Because you're already using some of those moments where Sam was present during those times, and now it's like you don't even have those anymore. So what do you do? And that's if Tom Holland comes back and plays the role, because at this point he's so wishy-washy. It's like,
I really think that movie was made by people who never played the games in their lives. I feel like it was just your average run-of-the-mill adventure movie, and then they just slapped the Uncharted name on it at the end.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree, and I will say, like, I thought the casting of Chloe was pretty well. She, although she wasn't a huge part of the movie, but she was okay. I didn't really have a problem with her, but and then the villain of the movie, you thought it was Antonio Banderas, ended up being his, like, henchman or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was just straight up Nadine. I mean, they didn't come out and call her that, but that was Nadine Ross from Uncharted 4. They just didn't call her that. So, I don't know what they were going for. It's like you said, I think that the writers of this movie, they heard of Uncharted, they liked the core concept, and then they were like, okay, let's just slap a tag on it and let's just make an action movie. And I think that what Jan made a good point of, this series, the game series I'm talking about here, it was created off of the backbone of these classic action movies like Indiana Jones and stuff. And so when you try to replicate something that was already developed from these ideas of these iconic stuff in movies, it's really hard to put that back on screen when the games were created from these iconic moments in these classic films anyway. So I think it was really a project that I think was probably, it didn't fail. I'm pretty sure it sold okay. But at the same time, this franchise as a film franchise might be dead on the water already, dead on arrival before it really gets started, because they didn't really try to replicate the stories in those games any.
Yeah, if it is, I'm okay with that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But yeah, that's a movie I went into. I was like, I don't think this is going to be good, but yeah, I do have the ability to be surprised, because there are movies I've gone into thinking like, this is going to be the worst thing I've ever seen, and I leave and I'm like, you know what, that was actually pretty good, and I was hoping it would be one of those times, but it just wasn't.
Yeah. Speaking of movies I wasn't sure about, I got inspired from a video you made talking about Pearl. The new this year has been really horror friendly as far as these films. They've really done a
lot of
job.
horror movies this year,
and I have yet to see Pearl. I just haven't had the time to get my ass to the theater. And because of this hurricane and all this rain, I don't like going out in this crap. So I probably won't see it this weekend either.
I didn't realize that was affecting you. Everything good though?
Yeah, everything's good. Yeah, I'm north, obviously, than where it was hitting. So really, we're just getting hit with a ton of rain. It's raining now. My backyard looks like a swamp. you'll be seeing Shrek and Donkey out there tomorrow.
Okay.
But yeah, so this movie has been great with horror, and I got inspired from a movie you made when you were reviewing Pearl, and I
On
had
TikTok?
watched, huh?
On TikTok?
Oh no, on YouTube. You did I thought you did maybe
Mm.
it might have been TikTok.
Yeah, I don't think I made a YouTube review on
Yeah, I
Pearl.
think it was.
It
Yeah,
might have been TikTok then.
yeah, it might have been that. And I saw it, and you seemed pretty positive about it. So I was like, all right, well, let me check out X, because I hadn't seen that. Because I definitely haven't seen Pearl, because I heard Pearl was a prequel.
Yeah.
So I watched X, and I was really like, I wouldn't say I was surprised, because I love Jenna Ortega. I love horror. I love slashers in general. So I don't know why I was surprised, but I guess it just got me to the point where it's like I wasn't expecting the movie to grab me with the story, the feel of the film, where it was located. And I was like blown away. I made a video on the channel, and as of right now, it's my highest viewed video on the entire channel.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because I'm really happy with that. I didn't write a script or anything. I had I had some notes on my phone and kind of talked it out, showed some images and some scenes from the movie. But I'm really liking this year with horror, and I haven't seen The Barbarian yet. I saw you made a review, and I know you made a review of that on YouTube.
Yeah, I definitely I made a Barbarian review. I think that's the one you commented on.
Yeah, that's right. And I was that's kind of what I've based off of some of the stuff I've seen you do. I've been trying to kind of talk about that as well, because I didn't realize. I guess I've just been so out of it, man, with these newer releases, that I've just been really passionate about talking about these horror movies. Are you? I say all that to say, would you consider yourself a pretty big horror fan? Are you pretty big into scary movies?
It's funny. I used to not be. I definitely was not into horror movies growing up, but the past few years they have grown on me. And then there are some where I say, like, this movie was so good, I need to show this to people, and I will tell my friends, like, hey, we need to watch this, and they're like, is that a scary movie? I'm like, well, yeah, it's categorized as horror, and they'll say, oh, then no thanks, I don't watch scary movies, I get too scared. And I'm not saying I don't get scared, because there were quite a few moments during Barbarian that scared me, but horror movies don't scare me typically. So yes, they have definitely grown on me. And especially this year, like you said, there's been some great horror movies that have come out this year.
Yeah, and are still planning to come out. I mean, as you can see, I got our faces in the middle of it, but I got Michael Myers behind our images here, and that's another one that I'm personally looking forward to. Are you looking forward to it as well?
I'm looking forward to it to bash it because I did not like Halloween 2018, and I did not like Halloween Kills in the slightest. Those movies were very bad to me.
Really?
Yes.
Really? All right. Well, let's get into it. I mean, what did you think was bad about them?
The first Halloween movie, it's so funny. I remember going to see that movie with some friends, and we were leaving, and as soon as the movie ended, we were like, that was good. I liked that. And then we started walking out, and we were talking about it more, and we were like, well, actually, what was the whole thing with that? That wasn't very good. And then we were in the parking lot, and we kept talking, and we kind of realized that movie wasn't good. It was definitely really interesting. But what I didn't like about the Halloween 2018 movie was they focused more on Laurie Strode's granddaughter than her, and and Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, is great in both of those movies. Because even as great as the original Halloween from the 70s is, Jamie Lee Curtis's acting is not very good in that movie, but she was so young, so I can give her a pass. But in these two movies, I thought she was really good, but she seemed more of an afterthought. She was easily the most interesting part of it, but they didn't focus on her. And the first one, they focus on her granddaughter at the school dance, and she sees her boyfriend cheating on her, and she can't call anybody, so she's by herself because her ex-boyfriend threw her phone in a bowl of nacho cheese.
Right.
I'm like, why are we watching this? I don't care about any of this. And then last year, with the whole, and my friend and I joke about it all the time. I was just gaming with one of my friends last night, and I'm like, hey, dude, this month, Halloween Ends comes out, and he just, without hesitating, he just goes, "Evil dies tonight." And that whole thing, it was so ridiculous. Like, I couldn't take it seriously. It was so dumb. And I made a review of Halloween Kills, actually, and fun. If I have a chance to do it this year, I'll do it again. But I reviewed that movie in my costume last year, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh shoot! I said that's cool. That's cool. I'll check that one out.
Yeah, it's I was happy with that one, but maybe I'll do it again with Halloween Kills and whatever I dress as this year. But there was a scene in that movie where I can't remember the characters. Do you remember the movie that well?
Halloween Kills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The scene, like, with when he's terrorizing the 4 people in the car.
Right.
And the woman has like a clear shot at him, and she's like, "Hey, Michael, this is for Dr. Loomis." Right. That line didn't make any sense because from what I read, that character was the character that drove Dr. Loomis to, like, the sanitarium,
right,
in the first movie. Right. So she was just some nurse who drove him there once, like 40 years ago. What is that? And Michael didn't kill Dr. Loomis either. The line didn't make any sense. So I don't.
Yeah, right.
It was just so dumb.
That's true. That's true. You know, I did not think about that. I appreciate you, man. So real quick, my sister, she's a big fan of these movies as well. I'm gonna have to bring that to her attention here shortly. Yeah, that's true. Because if you're saying that the only movies that exist is the original 1978 film, and then 2018 Kills and Ends, then yeah, you're, like you say, that if you're going by that chronological way of the movies, that wouldn't make sense, because none of that stuff even matters. I mean, I don't think they talk about it in 2018. I might have to go back and watch it now that you brought it to my attention. I don't think they mentioned that he killed Loomis in that. But that wouldn't make sense. So what I'll say is I liked 18 better than Kills, way better than Kills.
18 was better than Kills for sure, right. But I don't like either of them.
Yeah. So I like 2018. I thought it was decent for what it is. I like the way Michael moved in that movie. I thought he was very reminiscent of Nick Castle from the very original. I thought the kills were great when we showed them. They do a good job in that movie of showing, like, all right. So for instance, me and my wife, we just watched a movie called Gerald's Game on Netflix, and it's based off of Stephen King.
It's Mike Flanagan. I haven't seen that one, but I know.
It's a decent watch, and what it really relies on, it's not really horror and gore. It's more of terror. It's more of this woman being isolated, and she's alone with her thoughts because she has a really deep past, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and she's starting to see things. And I think that 2018 does a good job with it. It's not the most gory film. It's a lot like the first one and the original one, in a sense where it has more terror than it does like the gore. Halloween Kills has a lot more of the gore, not really scary. And that's my first gripe with it, is I don't think Michael Myers is scary in that film. I just think that he's just this force to be reckoned with. And the dialogue is absolute dog shit. I mean, evil dies tonight. I had that shit ingrained in my skull. And it's, what were you gonna
say? You finish your thought. I just want to say a line that stuck with me that I thought was funny, but also really bad.
Evil dies tonight. The Little John, Big John stuff was just, it was just for comedic relief. Yeah. I did think it was pretty stupid how you had another escapee that came that got off the bus with Michael, who also escaped. They couldn't round up, and they thought he was Michael Myers for some reason.
And I'm sitting there, he was like 3 feet shorter than him.
Correct. And I don't know if you remember this, in the bar at the very beginning of that movie, they show Michael's actual face on the TV. They show his, like, not his mask, but like his actual human face on the TV. So why the hell they think? Yeah, they do. I just watched it a couple months ago because it's a good movie for carnage candy. That's what it's good for. It's good for just seeing Michael just be an absolute brute, and I think that's what they were going for. And so, like, they actually show his face on the TV in that bar, and everybody was thinking this short Danny DeVito looking guy was Myers. It's like, dude, he looks nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing like the guy. Has anybody seen Michael at all?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But what I forgot all about that part actually. But what the line that was so ridiculous, but it was there just for comedic relief, was when Little John and Big John, like those kids, scare them into stealing their candy or
Right.
something, and they
Yeah.
scare them with the story of Michael Myers, and I think it was Little John that's like he stabbed his sister in the tits, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like what kind of movie is this supposed to be? A comedy? Is this supposed to be a horror? And I was like, this is so stupid. It was just so dumb. And yeah, my friends and I will absolutely be going to see Halloween Ends in theaters because it's on Peacock too, I believe. But
Yeah, it is.
We'll go see that, and just I guess in hopes that it'll be better. But we're expecting the dumbest thing ever.
So you're not a fan of this so far of this trilogy. You're pretty much not expecting much from Halloween Ends.
Not at all. Yeah, I mean, if you, well, honestly, I have not seen any of the other Halloween movies aside from the original and 2018 and Kills. Like I never saw 2. I never saw Season of the Witch, but I know Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers. That's like its own thing. But yeah, I never saw any of them. But I know when 18 was coming out, they said all those movies are retcon. This is a sequel to the one from 1978. And went, okay, then I don't have to really worry about it.
Yeah. The other ones are very all right. So what happens with a lot of these like monster movies is that you have like the first couple are like fantastic. I don't know if you've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street. I haven't, to be honest. That's the one film franchise. Yeah, that's like the only like one of the main film franchises that I haven't seen all of them because I've never really been a fan of Freddy Krueger all that much. I never really found him all to be all that scary. But like watching that first one, it's iconic. It's actually a pretty decent film. It's got some like practical effects in there. It doesn't look the best, but I mean for its time, it's really good. But just like Freddy Krueger, just like Friday the 13th, they have a really good start. Like Friday the 13th, for example, you have the camp counselors and they let Jason drown, and Jason's mom is the killer in that movie. And then in the second one, that's when Jason picks up the mantle. It starts off really strong, but then after that second or third film in the franchise, it just starts to really go downhill. I mean, by the point in Friday the 13th, he's like in space in one of them. Like, Jason X, he's like in freaking space, man. Like, holy shit. Like, look how crazy. This is like the Fast and Furious of like horror movies. I mean, look how freaking crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like it's like F9 going to space. Like, why are we in space? Like this is
it's just crazy as shit. So what I'll say is here's what I'll say. If you're looking for just a good, I don't know much about your personal life. I don't know if you got a lady or whatever you got going on. But if you're just looking for a good marathon, I would definitely, my suggestion and my preference would be you watch the original. Always, you got to watch the original Halloween. And then watch, if you just want to watch Halloween H2O, which is a good one. That's a decent one. And then Halloween Resurrection is just, it's really bad, but it has Busta Rhymes in it. And he's like doing Kung Fu to Michael Myers. And it's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's so stupid. It's honestly, it's asinine how stupid the idiocy in this, but it's a fun watch. And even for Halloween, like this time of the year, I mean, you can't beat it. Get you some popcorn and watch a stupid film, man.
But like you were saying, like even though I'm not looking forward to Halloween Ends, this year has been a pretty spectacular year so far, I think, for horror. There's been a lot of really good horror movies this year.
Yeah. I just hope that Ends does because I want to think. Is there any more after Halloween Ends? Is there any other horror?
I mean, like horror movies after that?
Yeah. Is there any
okay? I thought you meant in the Halloween franchise.
Oh yeah. I know it's done here. Well, for now, until they revive them in like 5 years and do something else.
Let me see if there's anything.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that if Halloween's ends at all, I'm ends the horror for this year. I have some high hopes for it because I'm really hoping that apparently this is supposed to be like one of the most like controversial stories in a Halloween film, and I'm kind of interested to see because even like the likes of Jamie Lee Curtis have even come out and said that this film is different and that they're doing something different with the story in general. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think when you're ending a trilogy, you're capping it off it's kind of, you get in weird territory there when you try to deviate too much from the source. But I'm open to it, man. We've seen Michael Myers kill so many people at this point. I think I'm fine with a little change. I just hope it's not something like asinine, like Michael dying in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I just looked at my watch list on Letterboxd. Looks the only horror movies that I have on there aside from Halloween Ends were Smile, which came out this weekend.
That's right.
And another one that I've had on my watch list for a while called Pray for the Devil. It was the trailer. I think I originally saw it like late last year, and it was supposed to come out in February. And at the time, the movie was called The Devil's Light, but they changed the title, and something tells me that's not a good. If you change your title and you push your movie back that long, it's probably not going to be very good. But it's the only ones that I'm aware of that are coming out. But there's been some great ones this year.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, shoot. I guess you can say the Halloween Ends is really the one to cap it all off. So I'm gonna try to personally stay positive for it, because I love Michael Myers. I think he's still, to this day, it's such an iconic character, and he's still, even after all these movies, man. If you do him the right way, you can still make him terrifying. I don't know if you know this or not. Maybe you know it because you're a big movie buff, but there's a movie on Netflix that came out a few years ago called Hush. Have you heard of that? Have you seen it?
That's Mike Flanagan as well, but no.
Oh, it's Mike Flanagan. Oh,
yeah, but I have not seen it.
Okay, well, it's that was actually going to be a Halloween movie, but something was going on with just the development when writing the film, and they were going to make that a Halloween film, and they decided not to, so they made it like their own little thing. And essentially, what it is like this woman, she's living in secluded in this house, and you can tell she's well off. She got a little bit of money in the bank, and
she's deaf, right?
She's deaf, and it kind of adds a whole new perspective to the movie, because there's times, I mean, obviously because she's deaf, she can't hear anything, but she can see there's someone outside trying to get in, and so you can see this guy, but she can't hear what he's saying. So he's like, writing stuff in blood on the glass so she can read it, and sneaking up behind her. And it's honestly, dude, it's chilling, man. It's terrifying, because I'm just thinking of how, like, it was scary like that with just some guy. I'm right. Just some psychopath. But think about it with Michael Myers. I think that would have been just a whole other, it would have been a movie that was kind of weird because nobody would be talking in it. So maybe it works out that maybe it wasn't Michael, but I'm just thinking like how interesting that would have been with Michael as the killer in that movie.
Yeah, stuff like that definitely scares, like stuff that could actually happen. Like, because I think I saw it a long time ago. Like the movie The Strangers. Did you ever see that?
Yes, man.
Liv Tyler, this newlywed couple that go to this secluded home in the middle of nowhere, and these three people just stalk them. Stuff like that really scares me, because to me, just the thought of home invasions, it's really scary, because it could happen, and it could happen at any moment to anyone. So stuff like that definitely scares me the most, for sure.
Yeah. So you're not much into the paranormal stuff at all, like any kind of like Conjuring or anything like that?
No, actually, it's good. I'm glad you mentioned The Conjuring, because The Conjuring did scare me. The Conjuring is really, really good. I actually just watched that movie. Yes. I like all the Conjuring movies. Well, just The Conjuring. The first one's really good. The second one's good. And I watched the third one this year, actually, and I didn't hate the third one. It's definitely the weakest, but the first one is without a doubt the best.
Yeah. The Conjuring, the first one I'm not, all right, so let me just say, I'm not into paranormal stuff at all. I have a weird thing when it comes to ghosts and demons and stuff. Like, I'm not terrified, but like, I'm one of those, like, if I hear a pin drop in my house, I'm already up, locked and loaded. Like, I'm ready to go. I think with any other person trying to break into my house, if they kill me, it's like whatever. But when it's like ghosts and demons and stuff like that, man, it's like a whole other level. So I'm not really much into that myself, but The Conjuring is pretty good. And I will say, I'm not much into the Annabelle movies and things like that, but Annabelle Creation is really good as well. But other than that, I'm out of it when it comes to that stuff.
I've only seen, in the Conjuring universe, I've only seen the first 3 Conjuring movies, and then Annabelle Comes Home for whatever reason. And Annabelle Comes Home is not good. That movie is very, very bad.
Right.
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Yeah, I would say if that kind of stuff doesn't bother you, then Annabelle Creation, I think, is it's a good origin story for the doll and the spirit that's possessed it, and pretty much how it gets into the hands of the family, because I want to say it shows the people from I think Annabelle. Well, maybe I'm trying to think when they show up. It might be Annabelle Comes Home, maybe, because Annabelle Comes Home is the newest one, correct? Or is that the
Yeah, it came out in 2019. It was
2019?
it was about like their daughter, and like she has a babysitter, and the babysitter's friend comes over, and she knows that the Warrens are, these paranormal people, and they have a
Okay.
room of all these relics, and she goes in there in an attempt, I think, to talk to her dead father who just passed away, and she opens the Annabelle case despite there's a giant sign that says "Do not
Don't open.
open."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad movie, really, really bad.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why I don't like a lot of paranormal stuff, because I consider them, but besides like the likes of like Insidious, have you seen that? I'm sure you have.
Honestly, no, I have
No,
not
you
seen
haven't.
Insidious. Never saw
Okay.
Insidious.
All right. Well, I'd recommend that. That's definitely a definitely a wild movie, to say the least. It's so much to it. It's hard to even explain. So my thing is just check it out. Look at the description, watch the trailer. That one's pretty decent. But most paranormal stuff doesn't really hit well with me, because, like I said, one, I got a funny thing about that stuff, but two, I just find them all to be bad. One
Mhm.
reason why I didn't like Conjuring 2 was because when they were actually talking to the spirit, and forgive me for this, I haven't seen this in forever, but one of the things that took me out of it was they were trying to communicate with the spirit inside of the house, wherever they were at, and the spirit was talking to them, and they was talking in this like, yeah, I'm 72 years old. Like, it has like this, you can hear the spirit talking, and that
Mhm.
took me out of it, because I just thought it was hilarious. I didn't think it was like haunting or scary with how the ghost or spirit was talking. Do you remember what I'm talking about? It's been a while since I've seen
Yeah, I think it's talking like through the daughter, and if I remember, the shot they show is not. You don't see the actual. You see like her reflection, but the reflection is out of focus. It's focused on the person
it.
talking to her, and
Mhm.
that's all you see. So like you can tell that it's the spirit talking through the little girl, but you don't see it head on. I guess I like that choice because of the way it was shot. It worked for me
Mhm.
better that way. So, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, that was the only thing that took me out of it. Really, the movie itself wasn't bad. But I just think it's paranormal stuff. But what I'll say is, one thing I will ask you, and if you haven't seen it, it's okay. It's just on top of my mind is, have you watched any of the Dahmer series on Netflix?
No, I have not. I everybody has been talking about it though, but no, I haven't seen it.
Do you have any interest in watching it?
Possibly, but it's not something that I'm dying to watch. Maybe one day, like if I'm bored or something. But yeah, I'm not in a hurry to watch that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, do you? I see. I don't know how you feel on the subject with your own channel. It's something that we can definitely relate on. I don't really like talking about real life things a lot, like real things that happen. With Dahmer's story, he affected so many people and their families. So I'm a little indifferent when talking about like specifics on what happened.
Mhm.
But I did put a video up on the channel where I'm just kind of just spitballing ideas about just things that I did enjoy about it, some things that stood out to me, and I was just curious to see your thought. Do you know much about Jeffrey Dahmer and the story and what all happened?
I don't know like the exact details of Jeffrey Dahmer. I know he's one of the most infamous serial killers of all time. I know he did board he went into like the cannibalism side of things, but
Hmm.
I think that's really the extent of it. Like I know the name, I know who he is, but I don't know his full backstory.
Yeah, yeah. This really, I've because they've done this a few times with a lot of these serial killers, and I don't know, to some people that might be, it's obviously everything's done for money, right? They make this
Mhm.
stuff to make money and things like that. And like I just said, I don't really like talking about real life things, but what I will say is I think that this portrayal of Dahmer by Evan Peters is the best I've seen.
Mhm.
I know people were saying something about like he deserves, especially to get an Academy Award for this and all that. I don't know about all that, but he does a really good job, and so I definitely would recommend if you just to check out an episode or two just to see his performance, because it is really, I wouldn't say it's scary. There's been a lot of people watching saying, "Oh man, I couldn't even get through it. It's so disturbing." I don't know how desensitized you are to gore and things like that.
I can handle it.
I'm pretty, yeah, I'm about to say there's not too many things that makes me like, ooh, I like, the only thing that really made me do that was like last night when I was watching Gerald's game. There's a part where I don't spoil the movie, but anyway, there's a very gory sequence that happens, and I'm pretty good with gore until it has something to do with your hands. Like any hand stuff, like seeing people's like fingers get chopped off and hands split wide open and skin peel. It gets me, man. And there was a scene that happened in the movie last night that made me like, I still watched it. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Like when you see something like that, you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, what am I watching? I feel like someone's actually getting tortured right now, but it's like I can't stop watching. Dahmer doesn't have any scenes like that. It has very unsettling sequences, with Evan Peters' portrayal as Dahmer. He's a very creepy, soft-spoken guy, but not scary in the least. And I know that people have different tolerances of different things, but I don't really understand the really like, oh my God, I had to stop halfway through the episode, type of people. I can't really relate there,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and I only say that because I'm not saying like I know you haven't watched a whole lot of it, so I'm just saying I was having a issue just trying to understand like what was so terrifying about the whole thing, other than the fact that this crap really happened, and they go into a little bit of that obviously, and the aftermath of all the murders. It's disturbing, but it's not like, oh my God, this is like the worst thing ever,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so anyway, real quick before, because like I said, I got a few things going on here. We got a Jabberwocky and we got a Tatiana Gomez that joined the show. Thank you guys for checking in with us. I know we're kind of nearing sort of the end. I'm not going to close it down just yet, but I do want to kind of just finish off a couple things about you, man. First off, let me just say I appreciate you accepting the offer and coming on the show.
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed talking to you so far. So what I want to do now is I really want to take like this last 20 to 30 minutes or so, if it takes that long, rather. I'm just saying 20 to 30 minutes to talk about some things that you're working on. What are you really trying to do with your channel going forward? Are you what do you got planned into going into next year? And how is the channel going to look like if you're looking at a year from now, the 2023, October 2023, what do you hope to accomplish with the channel, and what things are you going to be trying to do with it?
I mean, when I started doing YouTube, it was never my goal to be, like a big, famous YouTuber. I've always said like minimum, if I had 1,000 subscribers, then I'd be happy. I'm like, wow, 1,000 people want to listen to what I have to say. That's awesome. And I'm halfway there on TikTok. I have much more TikTok followers, like over 500 at this point. But yeah, if I reach that point, like if I could make it a job sometime in the future, that'd be amazing. But I'm not sure. But right now, I'm happy just doing it as a hobby, honestly.
Yeah. And just a thing you have to, I don't know how you're really looking at it, but I think that how you have to look at your channel and the work that you do is you kind of have to look at it as a passion. If it's something that you really enjoy doing, don't do it for the possibility that you can potentially take this full time or whatever you want to do. But look at it as more of like, hey, I'm going to make some videos this week and I have some really good ideas and I have some really good thoughts I'd like to put out there. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Is that kind of the same way for you too? Or you kind of more just uploading just to say, hey, look, I think this is a good idea and I think a lot of people would like my thoughts on this.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because there's been video, like my Jurassic World video, I was very excited to make that because I had a lot to say and it paid off and stuff like that. Just seeing that much interactions, like that's good enough for me. So yeah, I don't do it just, for the sake of or for the hope of turning it into something. I just do it because I legitimately enjoy doing it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what you have to do it for. I think that, throughout the years, and I don't know how much you've tried to do this. Like I told you, I started this channel in 2016, but I had a whole different idea of what I wanted it to be. And honestly, I'm kind of worried that I hope that doesn't screw me up in the future, screw us up in the future with the algorithm. I know YouTube's algorithm, if you throw it off too much, it's like, okay, where do I put this video at? Okay, 1 minute you're talking about games, 1 minute you're talking about your movies. It's like, where do I put this? And YouTube is kind of weird like that I've noticed, and I've heard about it for years from other YouTubers that are doing this full time. I'm just trying to really treat it as, kind of like a start over. And one thing I've really come into this thing, we really want to stay, full time, not full time, obviously, in as far as like my job, but really trying to be head on with my channel is really trying to find passion in what I'm doing and what I talk about, and being excited for videos and things that are coming to the channel. Jan, he's going to be making some videos of his own and posting it on the channel as well. So we'll get a little bit of that in there. And, I think it's just right now, it's just keeping that passion to want to keep making content. And the podcast, I will tell you, man, I know this is your first time being on, and I really enjoy the podcast. I think it's a great time to just talk with like, the main thing about this podcast is talking to cool ass people, having cool ass conversation. And that's all, that's Definitely. Really all I want. This show has been good tonight. I love this, man. It was great. It's great talking to you. And I think the podcast is like my favorite part of this whole experience is just talking to people and talking about movies and games. And because it's, to be honest with you, man, you were talking about the vigorous work that it comes to, editing videos, things like that. With a podcast, you just get on and you talk, and it's so much more of a relaxing experience,
Yeah, it's definitely easy. But I mean, like, this isn't like my full-time job, so if I want to make a video, I can do it whenever I want. It's not like I have a deadline or anything, so that's nice.
That is nice. What I've learned, and I don't know if you've heard the same thing, but in your journey as a content creator, is you treat it almost like a second job if you can do it. Like, not like, oh man, I got to make this video, just whatever, but like treat it like that. Because like, I don't know how your job is, man. My job is it's a decent job, but I don't have passion in my job. It's more of just like, I try to bring home some extra bread for the people I support, and then when I'm here, I'm trying to just do things that I want to do. And so I was trying to get to the point where I'm uploading 2-3 times a week, and it's hard, man. I mean, you got to dedicate a lot of time to it, but I think that goes with anything, right? If you're trying to get in shape, you're going to work out quite a bit. If you're going to get better at sport, you're going to put that time in. And I think that just goes with just anything in life, man. So if nothing else, I don't know. I think I've seen you upload I think your last video on YouTube was like 2 weeks ago or something like that, like Barbarian, I think.
Yeah, like I did upload that short of the recap, but that's something I already made. But yeah, my last video I think was Barbarian, and it's been about 2 weeks since I posted that.
Right. Are you on a schedule as far as when you upload videos, or are you trying to get on a schedule where you can upload more frequently? I mean, how are you trying to do that?
Yeah, I mean, ideally I would love to post like every 1 to 2 weeks, but sometimes I just want to be lazy and come home and sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would love to post every 1 to 2 weeks, ideally.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm trying to learn to do better on, is being more consistent, because I'll have weeks where I can do 2 to 3 uploads a week, and then it gets, like you say, it's like when I'm off, it's just really, really hard to sit in front of a camera, and sometimes I don't want to be happy. I don't want to. Like leading up to this podcast tonight, it wasn't you or being on camera. I can talk pretty confidently in front of people. And I've always been that way, but it's just like, you got to get into that mood. It's almost like I got to do like a pregame, like, workout just to be able to do this here. You know what I mean? Because this alone, being like hosting a show, it brings a lot of anxiety. You just have like, you're just trying to be the host, the best host you can be. And sometimes I feel like I can do better, and sometimes I can improve, and I'm trying to improve every week. So it's, I'm hoping that you've had a decent experience with me today. And, I'm hoping that moving forward, we can only get better. And I think that's something I'm going to try, like a staple in the next few projects that I work on personally, and then with the show as a whole. So, so is there anything else that you'll be working on for the next year? Do you have any video ideas coming up that you're going to put up on the channel or TikTok, either one? Is there anything that you can tell your viewers and my viewers too, like things to look out for?
Yeah, it's like nothing big. I did see the new Olivia Wilde movie, Don't Worry, Darling, last week, and
How's that?
it was not good. And
Okay.
it's kind of been a theme this whole. I do have a lot of movies that I like, but I've been focusing on stuff I haven't liked. But yeah, I'm gonna make a full review on that.
Good deal.
Probably. I still gotta write it. I'll try to write that tonight and have it filmed sometime tonight or tomorrow, maybe. And I did watch Blonde yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, 2 days ago, the Marilyn Monroe movie,
Right. Yep.
which was also that movie wasn't good, but for much different reasons. It was a very well made movie, but it was very poor taste. So, and I'm considering making a full review of that too. But TikTok is a lot easier. So when I post TikTok reviews, it's usually every movie that I watch. I'll post a review afterwards, then just like about 2-3 minutes long because it's a lot faster.
Right.
But yeah, for YouTube, probably Don't Worry, Darling, and Blonde coming up.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah. And what I'll do is just for everybody watching, and for those of you watching now, and then who come to this stream later, it obviously every episode of the podcast is on our YouTube channel, and it's it will always be there. And if you would like a copy of the stream as well, Brandon, I can send that to you, and you can put it on your channel if you want to. You don't have to. It's whatever. What I'll do is I'll put the link to your TikTok on the comment section of the video. That way, the people watching who are not following you then go find you, and that way they can keep up with you as well. If that sounds all right to you. I should in the description of this video on both YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I should have the link to your YouTube channel. So everybody's watching this who doesn't know you or who would like to, then click on the link and I'll go right to your channel and give you a sub, man. Because I think that what I'll say is, man, just kind of close with it, and then I'll let you have some closing thoughts or whatever you want to get out here. Is one thing I would like to do, and I'm sure Jan is on board with that, is to connect with as many other content creators as possible, have them on the show, and really try to promote their brand. I mean, that's all I want to do. That's all we got to work together on. I'm still in those stages as well, so I'm right there. So, I really want to take this to really collab with a lot of guys and and gals as well who are content creators and really try to promote each other's brands. So I might be annoying. I might sound like your number one fan when you're on the show, but that's only because I'm trying to get you out there, man. I see the content, and I wouldn't have reached out if I didn't think your content was worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I haven't watched like all your videos or anything. I won't try to stalk your entire page, but I wanted a good feel for you, and your video quality is superb. It's way better than mine. I'm trying to get to your level. And I look up to what you're doing, man. You're doing a good job, and I hope that you'll still find the drive to keep, not that you've lost it, but just keeping the drive to keep doing videos, because you got something special. You need to keep posting as much as you can. I think that consistency is key. You can't
definitely.
Because I think what a lot of people do is people go into this kind of thing. They look into it the wrong way. Like, oh man, if I can just have that one hit video, I can get up to 500 subs and this and that. And I just don't think that's not, if you go into it thinking like that, you're not going to be successful in this field in general. And I think that you need to just have fun and collab with people. So I'm always open to, maybe you'll start a podcast and I'll come on to yours, whatever, it's just stuff like that to bring people together and have an opportunity to have relationships with other people who do a lot of the same stuff and talk about the same stuff you do. And you're a movie buff. I'm pretty big into movies as well, and games and things like that. So I'm glad I had you on, man. I appreciate you coming on. So with that being said, is there anything you would like to close this show out with? Is, anything else going on? Things of that nature, whatever. The floor is yours.
I guess I'm just curious, because in my opinion, I think this has been a pretty great year for movies so far. And I was just curious, do you have a top 10 favorite, or what's your favorite movie of the year so far?
So I don't have a top 10. That's it. That is something that I might look into as far as a video here in the future within the next few weeks. We're probably leaning towards like the month of December. But so far, I would have to say probably I would probably have to say X might be my favorite so far.
Okay.
Because I just for me, and we had this conversation before, so I don't want to go too far into it. I love that horror has made a comeback, and the year 2022 has been fantastic for horror. So right now, as of right now, I haven't seen Barbarian, I haven't seen Pearl, or Smile or any of those yet. I'm more of a horror nut than anything. But as of right now, I would say probably X is my favorite right now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, what's yours? While we're at it, what's yours?
My favorite movie of the year, definitely Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I saw the previews of that and it looked awesome, and I hadn't seen that. I'll have to check that out. So you recommend that movie for sure?
Yes, that. Okay. See, I don't give 10 out of 10 ratings very often, but that movie was a 10 out of 10, 100%.
And you reviewed that on the channel, didn't you? I thought I saw that somewhere.
I did.
Okay. All right, you did review that. Okay, cool. All right. Well, under your recommendation, maybe me and the wife will check that one out soon, because that did look really, and with the whole thing with the multiverse, with especially with the MCU taking off, with that being almost entirety of Phase 4, it's really cool to see another universe doing it as well. Because I think with the multiverse, there's so many possibilities in any story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna probably close it down if everything's cool with you. We'll go ahead and shut the show down for the night. But I appreciate you guys, all the new viewers and the returning. I appreciate you checking in for another episode of the Deadhead Podcast. This has been a great episode. I appreciate having Branden on as our guest for the week. And it's been a damn good show, man. I had a good time talking with you, brother. And and I'm hoping that if this will help you out, it just get more eyes your way and more eyes to the show as well, man. I love doing this, and you're kind of like our first official new guest since having Jan on, because me and Jan were kind of running this thing for a little while, and I think it's just hard to bring other people on. Everybody's schedule is kind of hard to get around here lately. So I appreciate you being open with your time and everything, man. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Well, good deal, man. I'm glad to hear it. So just a little bit of housekeeping, guys. Thank you again for watching the episode. Go to Branden's channel, Marotta Media. I have the link to his channel in the description of this video. Go check him out. Watch all his videos. Sub to his channel. And while you're there, go ahead and go to ours, Deadhead 96. We're looking to do more podcasts, more episodes. Thank you, brother. Great show. I Drew 71 commented. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And I hope you called most of the show. If not, remember, just as a reminder, you will be able to watch the whole thing on the Deadhead 96 channel. Do you know that guy personally?
Yes, that's actually my mother.
Oh, well, all right. That's great. Well, like I said, if she didn't catch the whole thing, you can watch it on the channel. I appreciate you having you on, man. And I hope that you had as much fun as I did.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Well, all right. Well, thank you guys for watching another episode of Deadhead Podcast. Episode 10 will be next week. I'll have Jan back, and he's supposed to be playing a little bit of Resident Evil 2 remake, because he had never played it before, and we were supposed to be talking about it leading up to Halloween. So stay tuned for that one, Branden. Hopefully you can stop by and let us know you're watching in the comments. And stay dead, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.